Hey there YouTubes, this is Grimweird coming at you with some Nightingale tutorial action. Nightingale is a steampunk slash fae survival game, survival and crafting game that is in early access as of the moment that this video is being made. So obviously things can and will change. So if you're watching this quite a time after early March, don't be shocked if things are different. But let's take a look at what we've got going on here in early access and do a quick sort of run through on the tutorial. So in character creation, we're going to start a new profile and we're just going to go through this pretty quick. These are your sort of stock faces that you can start with. Body B for feminine and body A for masculine. And we're just sort of going to pick something here. Let's go with maybe, I don't know, this guy. Now, first off, I will say the graphics in this game look pretty awesome environmentally wise. However, I don't know, the faces all have a bit of uncanny valley to me. So if you are like me and want to see something where the face looks a bit more, I don't know, human and real, you might have to fiddle with this part a bit. After we get our archetype, you can go to an age slider, which has some interesting changes. I sort of like that. And then voice, currently there's only, I think, a masculine voice and a feminine voice, so we'll just leave that as is. Ancestries, so I'm not exactly sure how, if anything, this affects your character other than just changing your starting clothes, which are not really that important. Obviously, one of the first things you do is change these. So I'm not sure if this really matters or has any long-term effect on your character. Lineage allows you to pick more character faces for your parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents, and that can affect what you do with this slider. So right now you've got 4 faces here, which sort of affect your, basically your 4 grandparents almost. And so if we pick like a couple of faces here, let's say dad looked like that, I'm gonna chip off the old block, and let's say close that, and let's say that mom looked something like this, and close. And now we go to inheritance. You can see we've got the 2 things here, and as we go around we can sort of massage this to look more like mom or more like dad or more like ourselves, yada yada. Anyway, so that's sort of an interesting thing. Again, if you're like me and find these faces a bit uncanny valley, you might have to fiddle with things a bit to get something you like. Once you've got your base here, you can then go into more detailed things. You've got skin toned, you've got mottled, you've got redness. Scars are coming soon. This is still early access. Same with tattoos. Hair, you can do color, hairstyle, with a number of hairstyles here that are sort of interesting. We'll just keep it the way it is. Eyebrows, we can pick some different eyebrows. Some of the eyebrows are a bit out of hand. We're just gonna, I think, stick with these. Facial hair, there is some fun facial hair here, so we might want to give this guy something a little like this. Yada yada. You can play with those. We can now make even more things, and here's where you can really start tweaking shapes if you've got any kind of skill for that. I don't, so if I start playing with all these forehead and skull things, I think I just make things even more uncanny. But I've seen pictures of people able to make some pretty nice looking faces by getting into this and really sort of tweaking things. This guy actually isn't looking as weird as some characters, so we'll just move forward. Oh, and you can do, you know, nose, jawline, lots of stuff there. For eyes, you've got some presets, some of which look pretty cool, or if you want to get more specific, you can just pick individual colors. Let's just go with some rather normal looking presets. And then again, you can go into all sorts of stuff about veins and in the eye whites and other stuff, and make things really specific and even heterochromatic if you want. And then shape the eyes and then play with the eyelashes and give them extensions and yada yada. But so there's definitely some customization here, if that matters to you, and it sounds like more will be coming eventually. Again, more stuff with shapes and whatever. There's some makeup presets that are coming, and then sort of individual things you can play around with. And then we are on to difficulty. So this pretty much just sort of gives you a starting difficulty. I think this can be adjusted based on how you set up your realms in the game, and we'll look at a bit of that more near the end of this video. But one of the things this does affect is basically it says your starting loadout. And so basically if you're here, then you've got at least somewhat basic gear with basic good gear stats for low level. Again, you're going to replace this gear a few hours into the game, so it doesn't matter that much. And then this probably has lower gear score, and this is like running around naked essentially. That's your equipment starting loadout. We'll just go ahead and do medium, normal. And easy actually gives you some better gear. I'm not sure how easy it is. I just went with medium here. But again, almost all of this stuff's going to get replaced pretty quickly in the game, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. For realm, again, realm power is pretty much your starting realm. And this is if you make a mistake and say, let's go extreme, and then you play it and you start hating it, you can move around in your starting realm and pick a different starting realm if you survive your initial extreme start. So again, I wouldn't worry about this too much, and I would recommend people start at medium, and then if you find it's too much of a walk in the park, then a few hours into the game you can pick a harder zone to make your home if you really want to. And then finalize, that's about it. So let's go here. Let's name him Grimweird. And let's play.
Before time itself, the realm.
So we're going to go ahead and skip some of this stuff because, I don't want to spoil plot and too much of what's going on here. We mostly just want to look at sort of what are the important things you need to get gameplay-wise out of the tutorials, and what kind of user interface and game mechanics tend to be stumbling blocks for people who start this game and don't know what the heck is going on, like me. One thing that we should mention here is that currently the servers house all of the realms or zones, if you will, and so this unknown realm, which is going to be like basically a tutorial zone. We're going to go through 4 tutorial zones real quickly here. They're all housed on the server, and when you start in your actual real starting home zone, that will also be housed on the server. And so in early access, sometimes you do have problems getting to the server and logging into your character for a little bit. So that should be a warning for people that do not have good internet connections or that are very impatient with that. So here we go, and we are stumbling into something here.
Let my words steer your steps.
So we've got somebody talking to us. We're just going to sort of dash through this.
How now, fleshling? Whither wander you, lost in our Faewild?
So we've established we are lost in the Faewilds.
Show haste, human. Quickly, before those bound fiends sniff out your despair.
So there are potentially people after us, and we've got some sort of unknown, magical-looking benefactor here. Real quickly, let's talk about the game a bit. So what we have here is a realm portal. So these are portals that can open. They're basically zone boundaries. that let you go from one zone to another zone. And here we have a card machine, which is a sort of steampunky, magic-y kind of thing that dials these stargates, if you will, or these Fae gates, to whatever realm you are looking for. So one thing we do have is we have over here, release Hope Echo. So what these are they tend to either be rewards or lore bits that you can hit E and collect these. And those are good, and you should release them and look at them and read them if you're interested at all in the story or potential rewards that they offer. But let's go ahead and talk to this guy. Speak with Puck is what we get for hitting with E. I'm just going to sort of blast through his dialogue so we can not spoil this for anybody who's looking to actually play this game.
Shadows abound. I come will take thee. I'll travel.
Oops, so there we have done that, and he has told us to, he has given us some cards and wants us to get through this gate. So if you look over in the chat box in the bottom right, we have received a forest card and a byway card. And so that's sort of how these cards work, or these gateway realm card machines work. You have a biome card. Currently there's 3 biomes: forest, desert, and swamp. And then there's a variety of major cards, which in this case is a byway card. And a byway zone is basically a tutorial zone. Once you go through these byways of forest, desert, and swamp, you will never go back to a byway zone. They're just tiny little practice zones as we move through the tutorial. So we're going to hit E and open this up, and here's what the interface looks like on these card machines. We got a biome card, we're going to slap that in there, and we've got a major card which sort of defines what type of zone this forest will be, and we're going to slap that in there. And we're going to open the portal. Now, I said you could change things, so here is where you can play around with realm difficulty. So as you're moving through the game, you may decide that you want to go to harder realms because you're looking to actually hunt harder enemies, or easier realms because you're looking to just make it a home and not particularly have to worry about fighting things too bad. So there is some stuff there. Eventually you will also be able to reset realms. So let's say you make it to your home realm, but you decide you don't like the map or you want to change things, you can open up a gate to that realm and reset it and get a new map for it. But let's just go ahead and do the standard here and open our portal. So now, back behind us, that
the
red
fiends have
glow
caught your despairing stench.
is bad guys coming. So we're going to move through our realm portal. So now here it's talking to the server and it's preparing a byway zone for you. It's your own little private zone here. Eventually you can do multiplayer and you can have your zones, but then open them up to other people to visit your zones. Alright, so now we're going into a forest byway realm. That's described by our forest card and byway card. Here it says the forest has, you know, lots of resources and it's lush and yada yada, and the byway is these tiny little wild realm that we're going to use for our tutorial. And so here we have appeared in a forest biome. And let's talk to Puck and get our things out of the way.
Count thyself from Nightingale with the man in the inter. Oh.
Fast forward through that. And now in the top right, we've been told we need to find a source of food. And if you look in the bottom left, we have a little red debuff thing saying that we are hungry with a knife and a fork. If we hit tab and mouse over that, hungry, your stomach rumbles and your strength fades. Seek out a source of food if you wish to survive. This little green bar, our hunger is at 24 out of 100, and it's flashing yellow, which means that when this gets all the way down, we will start taking damage and we will starve to death and have to respawn. So we're going to look around for some berries. Now, one of the things you want to look at here is eventually you'll get to choose shortly whether you want to start your real game in either a forest biome, which has lots of resources, lots of rocks, lots of wood, lots of food, etc., and pleasant environmental conditions, or whether you want to go to a desert or a swamp. So as you're moving through these three examples of these biomes, be thinking about where you want to start. I would recommend the forest, but if you feel really drawn to one of the other two we're going to see, give that a try. Here's a berry bush. When you mouse over it, you see the little hand coming up, and we can hit E to collect. So now here we get into some more user interface stuff. 1 through 5 represents your primary hand, your right hand, and 6 through 0 represents your left hand or off hand. What you can do with food is put it into, it will just fall into, or you can move it in and out into your offhand. And so we would, in this case, if we're at 7, we've got nothing. If we hit 6 to go to that hotkey, the food will be in our hand. And now in the bottom right, you can see that there are symbols telling you what this means with this in your hand. If we hit left, we punch. Left mouse button, we punch. Right mouse button, we block. That's the shield is defense. And then if we hit F with a knife and fork under it, we eat. So now we've briefly staved off a little bit of hunger, and it's telling us to acquire rock sticks and a bunch more raw berries. And since I've been sitting here talking instead of doing all of that stuff, we are going to have to worry about our food here. So let's run around real quick. I am holding down left shift to sprint, and let's sprint around and grab a bunch of berries. As you can see there, I've got a yellow bar as I'm sprinting around. That's my stamina going down, 52, 51, etc. And so we will have to watch that, especially once we start doing things like harvesting and sprinting around maps and yada yada. I'm going to go ahead and just grab a couple of these and eat them. And then let's take a look at acquiring rocks and sticks. So, looking around, here's a bundle of sticks we can collect. So this is one way to get sticks. So if we hit E, you can see we got +1 crude stick. Here's another. So let's just pick some of these up. There are other ways to get sticks. So some of the plants around here, if they look particularly sticky, like this one has branches, as opposed to, say, this one which does not have branches, we can hit E to collect these, or that little sickle symbol above the green hand in the middle means that if you have a sickle, you can equip that and get a better yield. But we're just going to grab them with our hands and get 2 sticks. And let's grab a few more of these stick-looking plants. Oh, that one was plant fiber. So that's what we're going to get with these guys, is some fiber, which we don't really need yet, but doesn't hurt to pick up a little bit. Sticks, sticks, sticks. So basically we've now got plenty of sticks, and we're going to also need some rocks. So let's take a look for rocks. Sometimes the beaches is a good place to look for rocks. We got rocks out here. These are the kind of just rocks we're looking for. Just easy to pick up. You don't have to mine them. So let's pick up a few of these. These ones here, you can see you've got a red pickaxe. That means you need to have a pickaxe to break those rocks up and get rock blocks. So now it says build a campfire. So let's find an open spot here and look at building. So we're going to hit B to go to building, or if you just hit tab and then go to guidebook and building, you can now see that we have a recipe. We can build a campfire. So we're going to make sure that's highlighted, and we're going to hit place. Before we do, let's take a look at this interface. What we've got is we it costs 6 rocks, which we have picked up. We've got a little green check mark saying, yes, we've got our 6 rocks. It has augmentations. These are things which will augment the campfire and let you do extra things with it. Or it gives you things you can do with it. If it's fired up, it'll make a well-lit buff around it. It can do things like boil and butcher and cook and yada yada. These are the traits that it emits. It emits warmth and well-lit and warm and warm and well-lit and well-lit. Those are basically different ways or different buffs that can affect the machines and or yourself around it. And then over here, we do not have healing salve or mixed plants or roasted meat recipes unlocked, but it does say that we will be able to make some roasted berries, which is what we will be doing next once we have this campfire. So let's go ahead and place this. So now you have, it's green where you can place it, and if you try and place it somewhere it doesn't like, it'll show up as red. We're just going to pick a nice flat spot. We're going to click it down, escape to get out of build mode, and now we're going to mouse over it. And now you can see that it needs 6 rocks, and that we can E to auto add resources. So if we just tap E, we are going to put 6 rocks in our campfire and it will build. But let's go ahead and hold E to look at all of the things. We can move it, we can copy it, we can deconstruct it, we can auto add, which is the same as just tapping E, or we can add resource from inventory. I'm going to recommend that people get in the habit of adding resource from inventory so that you don't auto add precious rocks that you didn't want to get rid of. So if we go here, these are just rocks, crude, and all rocks are pretty much crude, but let's say you're using wood. There may come a point where it costs wood to build something that you're building, and you want to use the crude basic wood, but you also have in your inventory some really fancy wood that you're planning to use to build some weapon with. You don't want to accidentally use that when you're building a campfire. So I would get in the habit of not auto adding, but actually just really making sure that you're selecting what you want to add, unless you're sure you only have what you want in your inventory. Alright, so the structures, we can now cook, yada yada. So let's take a look at this. We want to add fuel. So right now we're going to throw some sticks in here. And let's just throw, if we hit shift while we drag over here, let's look at that again. So if we pick this up and highlight it and start to drag it, it says drop here. This will drop the whole stack. Or if we hold shift while we're dropping it, it will now let you do only some sticks. Again, I would get in the habit of only putting what you need into things. So we're only going to put 1 stick in there. And now we can either ignite that or close this. Let's close it. Now this thing is weird. If you click down at the bottom, it's more about the fuel, and if you click up here at the top where the pot is, you'll get into the crafting for the campfire. So let's go ahead and hit E for our craft options, and we can do the roasted berries. So we're going to do this. We are going to, again, you can hit F and autofill, and it'll put any old berries in there, but maybe you have special berries or not special berries. This is a case where I like to, once again, click in the circle and make sure I know what berries I'm putting in there as opposed to auto-filling there. It's just a good habit to get into. So now we're going to do that. We have 5 berries. That's enough to make one episode or one sample of this. We got 1 out of 1 here. Let's say we had 50 berries in our inventory. Then this would say 1/10, and you could craft all or up the amount of berries you're going to get. And manage fuel lets you go back in here if you needed to, but we're just going to go ahead and hit craft. And now it gives you a countdown, and we have made our berries. And now our quest journal wants us to eat those berries. So you can see it auto-placed it. I'm going to go ahead and extinguish our light there so that we don't use up our fuel when we don't need to. Another good habit to get into. You see it dropped it automatically into quick slot 7. So we're going to go to 7 and we are going to again hit F. And we have now eaten that. And our quest journal up in the top right says return to Puck. And we've gotten some new discoveries, mixed plants and roasted meat and such. So let's go talk to Puck.
We must...
And now he has given us some new cards, and he wants us to go to the next byway, the next tutorial zone. We're going to go ahead and look at what you can do with this stuff. If we hit X, we go into the build menu, and you can see down in the bottom we change from a quick slot bar to now it's saying that Q is copy, R is move, and V is remove. So if you want to delete a structure that you've made, like let's say we want to take our 6 rocks that we built this with back, we're going to hit X to get to this menu, and then we're going to hit and hold V, and it'll break it down. And we got our 1 stick back because we didn't burn it up, and we got 6 rocks back because we just got the rocks back that we used to make that campfire. So you can deconstruct your structures and get your stuff back. That's an important safety tip. So now we're getting ready to go on to the next place. We're going to a desert byway. Now I'll warn you right now, the desert can sometimes be a little lacking in plants. So when you're in the main game, it's sometimes good to take a little plant fiber and sticks and logs and stuff with you. But we don't have to worry about that here because they aren't that merciless in this game. So we're going to go to, let's take a look at the map. So one thing we'll see here is if we hit M and go to the map, we have the portal marked there for us. This tiny little zone really only covers this section of the map. But one thing you want to do also while you're here is just take a look around and say, hey, do I want to make my home base in a forest biome? This is what kinds of landscape, what kinds of picturesque views you might find in a forest biome. And you're going to have plenty of trees and plenty of rocks and plenty of sticks and plenty of food and yada yada. So keep that in mind, that you just want to take a minute here to go, hey, do I want to live in this kind of zone? But now let's go ahead and move on through. Because I've been talking so much instead of moving, food may become a problem here. So I'm just going to go grab a few more berries real quick while I am here, and there's plenty of berries to go around. You can also see there's deer. We don't have really anything to hunt them with at the moment other than smacking them with our fists. So I'm going to stick to some berries and just pick a few more up, just so all this gabbing doesn't get me starving to death as we are working our way through this tutorial. Never hurts to have a little bit of extra food in a survival game, yeah? Now, I will say you don't want to go too hog wild with the pre-accumulating of things here. Because you don't have a lot of carrying capacity at the beginning of this game. So you're not going to pick up dozens of rocks and dozens of sticks and yada yada. Alright, now so you can see we have a desert card in our inventory. We're going to place that there. And we've got another byway card. So now instead of a forest byway, we're going to a desert byway. Byway again being sort of the level of the realm that you are creating. We're going to open this up. I don't think any of the bad guys are chasing us at this point, but we will go on through. Again, this is a server-based game, so it is now talking to a server, and it is procedurally generating. Well, I think the byways are actually a set build, not a procedurally generated one. And but in the future, when you're going to new realms, it will procedurally generate them and sort of randomly place things about the maps across several different maps. Alright, so we're going to continue our journey. And the first thing we notice is, you'll notice right in the middle of my screen at the bottom here, we've got a hot meter that is building. When it hits that line, you will see I now in the bottom left have a sun red icon. And I now, if we take a look at that, oops, that was too quick. You can see it's now going down because I stepped in the shade. Let's step back into the sun here. We got hot going up. When it hits that middle line, we are going to get a debuff, much like our hunger debuff, which we are already hungry again. And now we've got a hot debuff, and our maximum stamina is reduced. And again, if we let that continue, that's not the funnest thing. So we're going to step back into the shade and try to keep these debuffs off of us. We're also going to just eat a few more berries. Another thing to look at is that food gives you a buff. So these roasted berries are buffing our health, our stamina, and our regen rates. You can have 3 different food buffs on you at once, so that's an important thing to remember. So we're going to go, if we go ahead and have some raw berries to go with our roasted berries, you can now see we've got a short 5-minute buff where raw berries and roasted berries are both buffing us. And again, you can have up to 3 of those buffs. So in the future, I mean, I generally have 6, 7, and 8, keeping 3 different types of food, and I'm keeping those buffs on me when I'm fighting. But let's talk to Puck real quick here.
Summer runs through. How? Whether?
Again, don't want to do too many spoils here. But we now have a stick tent recipe. So we hit B to go to build, or again, that's under guidebook and building. You can see now under our survival tab, we can do a tent here. And again, we're going to look for some place to put it, nice and flat. It'll give you a red shadowed version of it if it's interacting with rocks or something. So we're just going to just throw it right here, someplace flat. It escaped to get out of our build, and now we again, if we go up and mouse over it, it'll see that it wants us to add 12 sticks and 6 plant fiber. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and hit tap E. And now you can see that it has gotten 12 out of 12 sticks, but it's only gotten 5 out of 6 plant fibers. So we're going to have to look around for some plant fiber here in the desert. This is one of the things I was warning you, that it can get a little fussy going to a desert without any plants, because it might take a bit to find them. And we are hungry and sleepy, and I can't even remember what the plant fiber looks like in this zone. That's sticks. Aha, plant fiber. So we have collected 1 more plant fiber, and now we are running back to build our stick tent. You can see down at the bottom we've picked up a new debuff. We're hungry again, and we also now have tired. And you actually will have real problems when your blue bar here gets all the way down. So that's what we're doing now, is building a shelter for us to sleep in. So we've now got the sticks. You'll notice that I'm standing in the tent, and it is not finishing its completion. So when you build something, you might have to step out of the way for it to finish like that. And now it's asking us to build a bed. So we've got a new tab here of stuff for a bedroll. And when we place that, we're going to want to place it under shelter. So now you can see in the placing menu to the right of the shadow bed, it says comfort, sheltered, and grit. Grit is from placing it on dirt as opposed to on like a foundation or a floor. Sheltered is because it is underneath this tent. You can see if we could build it out here. Rest is blocked. We won't be able to do it because it's exposed. But if we move it under here, now it says we have comfort and are sheltered. So we'll put it there. We will now see that it needs 6 sticks and 6 plant fibers. We need 2 more sticks and 6 more plant fibers. And I'm going to have some more berries. This is why I grabbed some extra. If you're moving through this at speed, you don't have to worry too much about it. But since I'm doing a lot of gabbing and showing, we're going to run out of stuff. So we're going to pick up some sticks. collecting that, you can see we picked up 4 Cape Aloe flowers. Flowers are food, because this is a game about the Fae. Pick up a few more sticks, a little more food. We need to find more of that plant fiber, which isn't easy to find in the desert usually, so that could be a bit of a mess here. You can see every time we run out into the sun, we start getting hot. Let's see if there's some over here. Further into the game, you will carry around an umbrella, and that will protect you from the sun and the rain. Alright, I should have brought some extra plant fiber. There you go, important safety tip. Pick some plant fiber in the tutorial forest before you come to the tutorial desert. Here's some. Only one though. I know there's an oasis further in, so we might have to run over there. And if you didn't bring plant fiber from the forest like I didn't, you might just want to run over there to begin with and make your stick tent there. Alright, well, let's just go ahead and head over to this sort of oasis area. There should be some plants over there. But again, as you're moving through this, you want to look around. It's like, if this really speaks to you, you might want to have your home realm in a desert. And you're seeing some of the potential downfalls of that. It's a bit harder to get resources. You have to worry a bit more about getting especially plants. And you have to worry about the sun and running around in the sun. But now that we've gotten here, we've picked up a bunch. I'm going to pick up some more sticks as well. And let's abandon our other tent and go ahead and just make a new one here, because why not? We're going to auto add. We're going to step out of the way so that it actually builds. We're going to hit B. We're going to get our bedroll, place it down, auto add again, because we know for sure that there's nothing that I worry about accidentally using in my inventory. There we are. And now when you mouse over this, it says E to short rest, and you can hold for more options. If it's nighttime, you can long rest and it'll fast forward you through the night. And inspect will tell you what traits you have. You can see it's comfortable and sheltered because we've built it under the stick tent, but it is gritty because it is built on the ground. So we're going to tap E for a short rest, and you can see our bar down at the bottom going back up. And we now have stamina again, yay us. And now it is wanting us to make a bunch of makeshift tools in our craft journal. So let's go here. Now, building is putting things in the world, but crafting, we're actually going to be able to do this. And there's not a ton of stuff you can do here. I mean, this gives you all your recipes, both building and in your inventory stuff. But these are ones that you don't need a crafting table for, the makeshift items. We can just make these. But you can see we're going to need some rocks, some sticks, some plant fiber, and rocks and sticks and plant fiber, and more and more and more. So we're going to just have to go around and collect a bunch of that stuff. So let's do that real quick. Let's grab a bunch of this. And we're going to grab... I'm purposefully ignoring the critters here and what they are and what they do, because I don't want to spoil that more than I have to. And all you really need to know is that you're reasonably safe in these tutorial realms. We need rocks. Where are some rocks? Alright. One thing I mentioned while we're running around is looking for rocks. Where do they hide the rocks in this zone? Is that while you're going through the tutorial, there's not a ton of stuff to look for here, but I would go ahead and take a look around. You'll notice that here we have another Hope Echo, so that will give you a little drop of lore. And if I recall correctly, there may even be a goodie or two in this building somewhere. Let's talk about what I just did, jumping in this game. So here's me jumping. If I try to jump up here, I can't. If I snug right up to the wall and tap space, I activate that climbing maneuver. It took me a while to actually figure that out, oddly enough, because I would like try to jump and run, and sometimes I would activate the climb and sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I would just bang into it. There is falling damage. You'll see here we get a little falling impact thing here. If that is high enough that it maxes out, you will sprain your ankle, or you will break your leg or things like that and take damage. So something to keep in mind. But if I recall correctly, somewhere around here there's a chest. Aha! Let's talk a bit about Fae chests. First, obviously, we can hit E to open it. If we hold this down, basically you can only open it or put things into it. We're going to hit the open, and there are things in here, and we won't get into what they are really. I'm going to go ahead and take the healing potions. But here are some things. And another thing I will mention is that we can't deconstruct these, so if we hit X and go into our build menu, we do not have the option. If we try to hit V, structures found in the realms cannot be moved or deconstructed. Okay, fine. But you can see it's got 800 health now that we're mousing over it in our build mode. So if and I don't have my axe yet, but if I were to get an axe and a tool here and break this, I would get some reasonably decent wood from it and other things. So that is something to keep in mind. Not all chests can be broken, but these Fae chests and human chests can be. So that's something to keep in mind. Alright, we were looking for some rocks. How many rocks do we have? Oh, we have a decent number of rocks. So let's hit C, make our stuff. Alright, so we've crafted a hunting knife, crafted a mining pick, crafted a sickle, crafted a torch. Now, one thing is the torch, you can see here it put it in 7. Let's take a look at that in a second while I remember it. So we've finished our creating of makeshift newbie tools, and we now need to go back to Puck, but let's take a look at these real quick. We have the makeshift hunting knife. This can be used as a damage or as a weapon, and also to skin animals, so keep that in mind. We've got a mining pick, again, a weapon, and also mining rocks. We've got a sickle, a weapon, and or harvesting plants. And again, you can usually pick a lot of the low-level plants, but you get a better yield if you hit them with the sickle. And then an axe, which again can be a weapon, or also used for chopping up wood, both wood lying on the ground, logs lying on the ground, and or trees, chopping down trees. When we get to the torch, let's go ahead and put a torch in our hand. So now you can see I hit 7 as my left-hand menu, and it's opened up the torch. That boom sound we heard and the heartbeat means that we are hungry again, and so we need to eat more stuff. So I'm going to eat a few more berries just to get us through the tutorial here. Back to 7 and our thing here. One other thing I didn't realize at first was that you've actually got 5 of them. You can see I got 13 berries and 5 torches. So that recipe actually made 5 torches. And if we look over here, currently with a knife in one hand and torches in the other, left mouse button is skin corpses and attacks enemies. The right button is a dodge. And if it doesn't say here, but I believe F is throw. So if we come here and hit F, we've thrown a torch. And now you can see we are down to 4 torches. I bring this up because I didn't realize it at first, and the torches do weigh something, and if you only want to carry around 1 torch, you can. Or if you want to throw a torch into a cave just to see what's in there, you can do that. But I will warn you that you cannot pick them up. They're obviously super cheap to make, but once you throw them, you can't unthrow them. Let's take a look at our knife attack. Here you can do this. It's fast. Doesn't do as much damage, but you can see our inventory going off, and if it goes all the way down, it'll say, no, we can't. If we let our stamina, that yellow bar in the middle, start counting back up, and we hit the right mouse button, we are going to dodge in the direction we are facing. And so that is dodging. And that'll be important both in fighting and also just in movement. And here's Puck to talk to us about our next quest step.
It slipped my... You'll need... Let us...
And he is now... we have completed the desert byway. And he now wants us to go to the swamp. So let's do this again. Again, if we run right up to this and tap spacebar, we will climb it. If we jump off of something, we could take some falling damage if it does more than that falling impact bar. And if we look at the map, we can see that there is a portal marked, which is where we're headed now. One thing I will mention is that these automaton guys can cut things down. So if you see these glowing things here, you can pick them up. They're doing some harvesting, like that guy. Is going to pick up that log. Or it's a sack of logs. You see, they picked them up. Or you can steal it yourself, and we just picked up some of their logs. That can happen with big creatures, can knock trees down. These little guys can break rocks and knock down trees, and you can snag their stuff. Or fight them if you want to. Something to think about. But now we're going to go over here. Oh, I will also mention while we're here, before we get into the swamp, you can see here I've got a blue bar and I've gotten wet. And now if we mouse over our new debuff, our stamina regeneration is drastically reduced and we are wet. That can happen from rain or from getting in water. So that's another thing to worry about in this survival game. And the reason I bring it up here is because the swamp has diseased water, and so if you do this in the swamp, you will not only get wet, you will also potentially get diseased, which is another debuff that we don't want to get. Now we've got our biome card and our last byway card. There's another Hope Echo here, which you should pick up when you're going through. On to the next zone. And this next zone is sort of the end of the tutorial, so we're getting close. And obviously once you're going through this yourself and not sitting around and talking like I am, it goes much quicker. But again, you've seen what the desert looks like. Here's what the swamp looks like. And again, you're going to want to decide if you like the looks of the swamp and decide if you want to live there, much like we learned about the desert and the forest biome. One reason you aren't going to probably want to move to the swamp is that if we take a look at the map, there's lots of little islands, there's lots of water. This is a very small version, and a bigger version. It can be really hard to move around since the water causes you not only to be wet but also diseased. And it can be hard to jump around all these little islands. And the monsters tend to be a bit more aggro. There's plenty of resources, unlike the desert, but the environment is just as annoying, if not more annoying. It's usually raining, so you got to have your umbrella out like the desert, but also you have poison and the critters are a pain in the butt. So,
if not for us, while I once the...
Alright, so he wants us to acquire bones from a Tier 1 predator and hide from Tier 1 predator. So harvesting things are divided into predator and prey, and tier is just sort of rarity, which obviously we're still new to the game. I will say that there are a couple of these structures here, and if you're looking for chests or looking for hope echoes, don't skip out on those because you won't be able to come back to these byway zones. But in the interest of saving time, we will let you discover that stuff on your own, and right now we're just going to go look for a couple of predators. Just to show you an example, if we go out in the water here a bit, if it's deep enough, you can see I'm wet, and then underneath that I've now got a disease bar and now a disease debuff, and I am coughing and things are looking ugly. Jump scare. We are going to equip something. Well, this was unintended, but when you're diseased and get jumped by a critter, this can happen. You are injured and you need to be revived. Once you have a NPC with you, if they are still up, they might be able to revive you. Usually, if my NPC dies before I do, but since we do not have one, we are going to give up and respawn. So this is what happens when you die. And now, scan around to make sure we're not going to get jumped. We can show you what dying looks like. We have a death curse. Our carrying capacity is reduced. And I think it might have a few other things. And while we have everything that we have equipped, our clothes and our tools that we have equipped, we no longer have anything that was in our backpack. And if you see over there, there's a little skull 77 meters away. If we look on the map, you can see that that is the place of our last death. And we are going to have to go to that to pick up what was in our backpack. So there are corpse runs, unless your backpack was empty, but it also gets rid of your death curse. So here we've got a Zephyr chest. We're going to hit E. We're going to hit take all items. And now we are in business again. Then, since it's not raining, I'm going to equip my mining pick and let's go get some revenge. The portal's off that direction, so we're going to stay out of the water and not be wet and diseased for fighting these things because we saw that that's no fun. But let's go find some of these, I forget what they're called. That guy. So there's two of them over there. There are weak spots in this game, so we want to try and hit these guys in the head. Circle strafing is your friend. They do jump around and charge. So when you get a headshot, I'll see if I can get one. Oops. I missed on this guy. Where's the other guy? There was another one around here. Don't see him. There's a prey if we want to get that guy. Boom, we got that guy. Much easier. We're going to equip our hunting knife. And now you can see the little green knife appear over him. If we chop him a few times, he will drop meat. And now we come to our next essential tip here. When you're picking stuff up off the ground, you can tap E to pick up what you're pointed at, or you can hold E to collect everything around you. And that's an important safety tip. You do not want to pick things up one at a time. So here, we've dropped some hide, we've dropped some meat, we've dropped some bones. Instead of collecting them all one at a time, we're going to tap and hold E, and we picked up all of it at once, including some rocks that we were moused over. So that's an important safety tip, is the area pickup. Let's go back to our axe. We need to do that 2 more times. Here's a guy. Oh, see that gold number and 59 damage? That was a headshot. Try and do that again here when we do our last guy. Again, we're going to hold E to pick up everything. Things in the world, if you happen to be running around here, there are things to pick up. I'm not going to worry about it since this is just a tutorial. I don't want to ruin things. But as you're getting used to the game, you're going to want to just take a look around because there will be things you can pick up here. Potentially chests you can open. but it'll take a while to figure out what you can pick up and what you can't. So feel free to explore with that. And then we're gonna put our torch away and get out some berries, and we're gonna hit F. I'm gonna eat a few more berries here, and we're gonna get our mining pick out here, because that's what I like to use when I'm hunting critters with melee weapons. Now we're gonna start heading towards the thing in the future there. Let's see if we can get another headshot. Watch for a gold number. I am totally missing. There's one. Alright, skinning knife. Skin. Hold E to pick everything up. Go ahead and pick up a little spares here, because we're going to need all this stuff once we actually start the game. Switch back to my mining pick. And let's head over to the... I'm supposed to craft a makeshift capelet. Let's go to... hit C to go to crafting. You can see we've now got a thing here. We need 3 hide and 10 plant fiber. And we, by this red X, don't have 10 plant fiber. But unlike the desert, we shouldn't have a problem finding some plant fiber here. You'll notice that we are getting usually 1 or 2 if we use that. If we switch to our sickle, which we have in hotkey 3, and actually hit them. There I'm getting 2, 3, plus 6 plant fiber. Plus 5 plant fiber, so I'm getting a lot more using the sickle. So keep that in mind when you're actually doing all this stuff. Make sure I'm not going to be attacked by any of these guys. And let's hit C, go to our guidebook crafting, makeshift items, makeshift capelet. You can see we now have a green check here. We're going to craft. And now it wants us to acquire healing salve and acquire roasted meat. If we look here, healing salve requires a campfire. You can see that we've got the requirement here. And then roasted meat also requires a campfire. Headshot. Back up. Yeah, there's plenty of these guys around. Let's run back over here into the open a bit. Tutorial zone, so these things are not that hard as long as you're not wet and diseased and yada yada. Make sure I'm not going to be interrupted here. We need to build a new campfire, so get that out, place, put it there. Hit E to auto add. Even again, that is dangerous in the when you actually have advanced materials in your storage. Now we can either pick tier 1 prey bones or tier 1 predator bones. So here's a good chance where if... Oops, let's get rid of this guy. Headshot. Another headshot. I do recommend trying to get used to headshotting and hitting weak points, because it can really help you out if you get used to that with a weapon. I haven't used this mining pick in a while, and fought these guys in a while. But you can see I'm getting back into the hang of it. Alright, so talking about crafting in this game, we are going to do a healing salve made out of bones and fiber. But we have 2 types of bones here, and if I mouse over them, you can see in the top right, prey bones have a certain amount of stats, 10% to stamina, 5% to stamina regeneration, whereas predator bones have 10% to health and 5% to health regeneration. So here's a case where if you want something in particular out of any kind of gear or food you're making, this is the kind of stuff you want to pay attention to, and make sure that you're using the right bone instead of auto-filling it. We only have crude plant fiber, and that's not what we got. Manage fuel, we're going to throw Just a couple sticks in there. And then we're going to hit craft. You may occasionally, if you are cold, want to actually light a fire just for the warmth. We're not doing that here. Now we're going to do roasted meat. Again, we have prey meat and predator meat. One has no... Prey meat has no stats, but predator meat has a bonus to health regeneration. Let's go ahead and use that. And we're going to craft one. This will give you some downtime, or when you mouse over, you can see we've got a hammer here, and that blue line is filling. So that tells you that it's working. Meat takes a bit longer to cook. Make sure there's no guys coming after us. And now we can hit E to collect it, and then E again if we want to open it up and make more stuff. And you can always manage fuel and extinguish or let it burn out like it just did. And again, as a reminder, if we hit X and mouse over this, this now gives us the V key to hold and deconstruct and get our 6 rocks back in case we need to. Something to get in the, again, something to get in the good habit to get into. And now, oh, we needed 3 of each. Well, there you go. We're still in copy, move, and remove down at the bottom there. So we're going to hit escape to go back to our hotkeys down at the bottom. It's something I always forget to do. So now we're going to go back to our hotkeys. Hit 1. We're just going to grab a few more things here. Notice I didn't pick it up. Do that here until the corpse disappears. And now we're going to stand over here and we're going to hit and hold E and pick everything up. Again, that makes things so much easier. And we're going to go back and rebuild our thing here, and we're going to make 2. You can hit this thing to go to 6, this thing to go to 1. We're going to go 2, and we're going to manage fuel, and we're going to put, let's just go ahead and put a bunch of sticks in there. And then we're going to craft, get our other 2 healing salves to finish our quest here. And then we're going to go to roasted meat. And, ooh, we now have some fabled meat. Every once in a while you will get, these are leporidons. We are going, I call them raptoroos because that's what they look like to me. But anyway, you can make that, and it can have, like, in this case it doesn't really have any extra stats, but it might. So this is another case where if this fabled meat had some really cool stats, you wouldn't want to accidentally use it by auto-filling this thing. We want to make sure that we're cooking the meat that we want to cook. Oh, and we wanted 2. While we're playing, I'm listening for footsteps to make sure we don't get jumped by a raptoroo, as I like to call them. And then we actually needed another one, so let's go ahead and just make another one here. While we're doing that, I'm going to look around, make sure one of those guys isn't sneaking up on us. What else to talk about? While we're here, we're looking around the swamp and saying, hey, do I want to live in a swamp? I don't, but you might. Again, we're watching this go on. See if we point down on the fire, E to extinguish. Point at the top. We're now looking at E to collect items. And now I might want to extinguish just so I don't burn up all my fuel. And then I also might hit E to inspect things. But we're going to go X to go in our build menu, and then hold down V to disassemble and grab our things. Now we are supposed to acquire essence dust. So essence dust, I don't know what it said in the quest, but what you can do, let's pick something we have plenty of right at the moment. We have plenty of, I can put my capelet that we made on. Maybe. Equip. No. Oops, I just extracted it. So there, we extracted our capelet and we got essence. We got 10 essence dust from that. And that's what you can do to get essence, is anything you don't need or you can't carry, you can hit extract, or because of what I just did, it's safer, I think, to drag it over to extract, so I don't actually hit extract when I'm thinking I'm hitting equip. And that's how you get essence. And essence is used not only to upgrade your stuff through, like, this is common, to uncommon, to rare, to etc. But it's also used to buy things from essence traders. So it's both your coin and your gear advancement stuff. Oh, there's the thing and the heartbeat, which means I'm hungry again. You can see I've got the hungry debuff. So we're going to go ahead and hit escape to get back to our hotkey. And we're going to hit, let's hit 9 to get some meat out. And eat some meat. And now you can see I've got a 12-minute buff, and all of this extra health here. This gives us plus 36 to our maximum health, and so we now are healing up to that new higher level. And let's go ahead and also do. We've got something in 0 here. That's a different kind of meat because we cooked up some predator and some prey. And now you can see I've got 2 buffs and even more stuff here. And let's go ahead and hit 6 and hit F. And now I've got a 5-minute berry buff too. So we've got roasted meat from a predator, roasted meat from a prey, and berries. All 3 at once going on and getting the benefits of all 3. So when you're out in the world fighting, that's something to watch for. Now we want to repair an item. Usually, right now, the repairs usually cost dust. So you see repair all costs 40 dust, but I don't believe that's currently active in the game, and I think they're still adjusting the levels and costs there. So you can either hit repair all, and it will repair everything, or you can right-click on things, I believe, and if it's injured, you get a chance to repair just individual items.
You've
Head back to
stolen
Puck.
life now. First you must oblige your inner essence and choose
So
the
now what we're
landscape
doing-
that beckons. Ah, no need for words.
Let him talk
Only
here a bit.
thought.
So now what we're doing is we're picking our starting realm. Now this doesn't have to. You can change your mind later, but it's a hassle. So again, our choices are, and this is where we're going to have our home base. It's a low-level realm, not too toxic. It's called an abeyance realm, and the abeyance realms, as opposed to these byways, allow you to put down an estate that actually can act as a fast travel home. And so you're going to want to pick a place that you really want to make your home base. Most people should probably take forest, because that's where the conditions are the nicest. The animals are the least nasty, and the environmental conditions are tame, as opposed to swamp water and or sun. And also just there's plenty of starting things to scavenge up. Plenty of food and rocks and wood. So let's go ahead and
The
imagine a
mystery
forest.
of the whole. Play your cards.
And he has now given us, we look at cards here, he's now given us an abeyance card. Now this is you can see it says 10 common. 10 is basically the gear score. We have a gear score of 6, and this is a level 10 realm essentially, and a forest card. If you pick desert, you'll have an abeyance card and a desert biome card. So now let's head for the exit. And again, now that you sort of know what you're going to be building, you know for sure you're going to need a campfire and a stick tent when you get into the thing. You can see it's raining now, and so we're getting wet. I will just spoil it in that if you look around, you might find a way to deal with that in one of these 2 towers. Just saying. There might be an umbrella over there. But let's go ahead and open the realm card and throw in our forest and our thing and open the portal. Now,
Remain vigilant while the realms align.
now he's telling us to remain vigilant. In these portals in the wild here, now that we're leaving the tutorial, you can see the miasma is what they call that. It damages you environmentally. It's forming and things are coming out of here. Circle Strafe is your friend. These guys aren't too tough, but you don't want to stand there and get hit by them. They like to lunge and charge. Learn to go for headshots. Those gold numbers I'm getting. And now again, you can see the little things here. They have drops. We're going to hit and hold E to pick them up. And the portal is not yet formed, so we might have another wave here. Again, if you're standing in that miasma when it forms, you will take environmental damage. Here come some guys. See how they like to jump? Circle strafing is again your friend. Nice thing about the dagger is you can get special hits from behind. You can backstab with it with your hunting knife. But it doesn't hit as hard, but it's easier, I think, on things to get backstabbed. And now there it is open. We are wet, we need rest soon, and we are sort of hungry, but we are leaving the tutorial zones and going to our first forever
Your path
realm.
forward is winding and full of terrors. Save yourself. Survive the realms. And rebuild all that has been lost.
So that there is your tutorial, and what you're going to find yourself in, it is preparing your realm, and you are going to find yourself in a forest abeyance realm, unless you picked a swamp or desert. And this is going to be where you start originally, abeyance forest realm. You can see the abeyance card. Play this card to seek a realm of minimal danger suitable for the construction of an estate. So an estate is basically a base hub for you. You can see here it's very pleasant. There's plenty of trees and plants and berries and stones and what have you. If we take a quick look at some of the tools here, if we equip our axe, our makeshift axe, you can see that we have a green axe that turns green here. Pick up these, or you can chop down trees. The trees can fall on you and cause you damage, so be aware of that. Falling away from me, when it hits the ground, it'll turn into a bunch of logs. Again, E will pick everything up. Mushrooms are good food, so we're going to be wanting to pick up some mushrooms and berries. And then rocks. We've got sticks. You can chop out stumps, although some of them get glitched. But if you want to permanently remove that tree, you can get rid of the stump. I will say that things don't necessarily grow back. So if you are building your home, your estate here, you may not want to chop down all the trees right around your place, because they may or may not grow back. There is a way they can grow back, either environmentally or from spells at high level, but they don't necessarily grow back, so keep that in mind as you're starting the game out. We can see we've got some structures in the distance. If we open our map, now we've got a whole big old island zone here. We've got some things on here. We've got a woman Wilhelmina Sass up here, and an essence trader up here. He sells recipes. We've got a portal that we could use to leave here. We've got a realmic transmuter, which will consume a minor realm card to trigger realm-wide effects. So you will either find or make cards that you can put in these realmic transmuters to give the entire zone, the entire island, special effects. So that's one of the sort of fun and interesting parts of this game. But let's see what Puck has to say.
This realm, but beware. While you play carpenter,
And he wants us to build an estate cairn, and we've got a new recipe for the estate cairn. And this is going to take some rocks and some stone blocks. Stone blocks come from those bigger ones, which should be around here somewhere. There's some. So these are the bigger ones, not the little individual crude rocks, but the stone blocks will come from using your pickaxe on these bigger ones. And now you can see we've picked up some stone blocks. Now, you've only got 50 pounds or kilos or whatever this is. You've only got 50 carrying capacity, and 41 of it is used here. So that is one of the limitations, big limitations early in the game. So you're not going to be able to just pick up a ton of stuff. So if there's something that you like, let's say you find a chest or etc., you might just want to mark it on the map. If we hit M and then right click somewhere, we can add little map stamps and stuff here. X marks the spot, and so that we can come back for that. What else to talk about? At this point, we're just looking to make an estate cairn. This is going to be where you can fast travel to. You can, if we make it, we need 10 more rocks and two more stone blocks. Let's grab those real quick. Just a few more important safety tips here. Before we end this video, we're going to craft this. And now, you can see when I mouse over it, it says respite. Now if we go to the map, travel to respite, or respite, however you pronounce that, in your part of the world, you can now fast travel to this estate cairn from anywhere in this zone or in zones beyond it, realms beyond it. If we run up to this gate and we play desert abeyance cards up there, which we can do, and go to a similar level as this, but in the desert, to look for resources or to visit the essence trader or to follow quests. When we're there, we can hit travel to respite, and we will always come back to this. We can hold E, we can inspect it, we can rename it, we can manage permissions. That's if you start getting into multiplayer. And you can create a respite point if you have multiple ones. So you can actually create multiples of these and then change which one is your actual respite. And you can build, and you can build these in other realms, but you can only make a respite for fast travel in an abeyance realm, one of these level 10 realms that we are in now. But you can go to, say, a level 20 gear score realm, and you can build things. You can build all your foundations. You can build a base there. You can build a cairn there, yada yada. You just won't be able to fast travel there. And we can also tap E and rename this, as we can say something like abeyance forest home, if we want. And now I think on the map it shows that that's that. If we mouse over, I can't tell, myself is in the way. But you can do things like that. If we hit X to go to our build menu, you can hit R and you can move this. Let's say you start to build and realize you're not in a place that's flat enough. We can move it over here, boom. Or we can also hit V and hold it and deconstruct this and get our rocks back. And again, we can get rid of this completely and do other things. But that's about as far as I want to go with a tutorial guide. The world is now wide open. You have all sorts of Fae realms to do, all sorts of cards you can make to go to whole different variations of desert and forest and swamp. And eventually, someday, I'm pretty sure they're going to have other biomes, like an Arctic biome and things like that. And there's plenty of things to collect. most of this stuff. You can pick up mushrooms, you can chop down trees, you can collect plant fiber. There's going to be all sorts of things going around here, sticks, etc., etc. And you're going to encounter monsters and fight them and get hides and bones and meat from them, and etc., etc. And you're going to collect a bunch of wood and rocks and then start building homes. One of the first things you probably want to do here, other than following the quests, is start collecting some wood and stone and start, I don't know if it's unlocked yet, let's see. Aha. So we've got some crude buildings start out, so we can already start to make some crude foundations. When you're making these, you can put them all together. They snap together. So here we've got some rock foundations. We can then build, like, say, a doorway. We can build, let's say we want to build some wooden walls because we don't want to collect a ton of stone. We can do that. You can see it'll add it all here as sort of a shadow version of where it's going to be, so you can map things out ahead of time. And then when you mouse over it, you can see that this whole structure will now take 28 stone blocks, 20 wood bundles, 18 sticks, and 12 to build all of it. So as you start adding stuff to it, the ones you added first, like our foundations or the first walls that we put up, will actually become real first. If we decide we don't like something that we did, like say we didn't mean to put this wall here in the middle, we can again hit V and remove it. And then escape. We can hit B and go back in here, and then put what we really wanted over there. And etc. So that's how you get started in building. You can tear it all down and move later, or you can't move these structures around. And another thing to watch for is that you can see here that it says right above wood bundle, it says 11 out of 300. Each connected building can only have 300 pieces. Right now we've got like something like 4 foundations and 4 walls and something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we've got like several walls and 4 foundations. So we've used up 11 out of 300. Once you get that 300 level, you basically have to build another building. But you can build them in a complex, like you can have 2 300-piece buildings right next to each other. But that is a limitation to consider about really huge structures. You have to basically add together multiple structures to get it. Anyway, that's probably plenty for this opening video. And I'm probably going to make a tips and tricks video in case you are interested in that. You don't need to bother to like or subscribe because this isn't monetized and I don't care. But if you do want to see more, say a comment of thank you and please make more, and I might just do that. Anyway, talk to you later. Bye.